that better?
If you are an agent who is looking to do more business in less time, you're going to watch this show. Super excited to have Karen Coe on The Real Joe Show, and we're going to be talking about Karen's business. She has, over the last several years, done $100 million or more with her team. And if you can be Karen, you want to watch this show. So welcome, Karen.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
It's fantastic having you on the show. Huge fan.
Thank
and
you.
I love your story. We're going to jump into real quick. We're going to make this a short one, and we're going to jump right into where you were in your business at the point when you decided, hey, I got to blow it up and start again.
Yeah. So I was transitioning from Allen Tate to Keller Williams, and I was doing approximately 35 million as a single agent. I had, I would say, a part-time admin, but not, definitely not full. I was still doing most of my paperwork. She was doing some of it. And then I decided maybe 6 months after I'd been at Keller Williams that I needed a full-time admin. So
how'd you decide that? Like what brought that on?
I just think the paperwork and all the little administrative things were bringing me down. And I knew that wasn't what I was good at. I was, it's obvious that that's not my forte. My forte is going out and getting clients and meeting with clients and helping clients. And so I got lucky enough to hire someone who has a ton of experience, and she jumped right in. And she's helped me grow my business tremendously. She takes care of so many details for me. And, I hired my first buyer's agent, then I got my second. Now we are up to 5 buyer's agent. And in that time period, also, we got a marketing person. So now we have a full-time marketing person, a full-time admin, and there's 5 agents on the team.
That's incredible. And so let's talk about that moment when, what was your life like when you said, hey, let's bring on that full-time person?
So
what was your schedule?
I remember it distinctly. I was in my bed. I was sending an offer to purchase. My husband was sound asleep, and I thought to myself, I can't do this anymore. I can't be doing this work. First of all, it's not, like I said, not my thing, not what I'm good at. And that was kind of the breaking point. That I remember that one night I was like, I just can't keep doing this. I was working crazy hours, meeting with clients, taking listings, working with buyers, and doing all the other admin duties as well.
Right. So of the team that you had just mentioned that you built out, what allowed you to expand was you brought in that full-time person. How did that person know how to support you, and how did all that work
out? She was previously admin for another big mega agent. So she already had all the experience. And actually, once I hired her, she taught me things, versus me teaching her. She brought a lot to the table of things and procedures that I didn't have in place, nor, would I even know. So,
right.
Yeah.
So you had someone that's experienced, and together you worked out the way you wanted her to work.
Exactly. Yes. Right. And I think we have a good, mix. I obviously couldn't have been as successful without having her, be on my team.
So with the hour, how many hours were you working before you got the full time?
Probably 60.
60
a week. Yeah. I mean, it's hard because it's like from the morning you wake up to you go to bed, you're working, you have little breaks then. Now I probably work 30
hours a week.
30 hours a week. I'm transitioning, more away from taking on buyers and
right.
mainly doing listings. We're probably like 60% listings and 40% buyers right now.
And so that's huge, especially in every market. It's all, you always want to be the store with the listing, right?
Right.
So
especially over the last couple of years. Yeah.
And going forward, it's going to be even more important.
Yes.
So what is it that has allowed you to get that percentage? Because that's flip-flop for most agents.
I think too, just because I've been doing this for 10 straight years, I think, I have a lot of people when you first start working, you're working mainly with buyers, and now those buyers, the buyers are now sellers.
Okay.
And then they were either wanting to upgrade or, go to a bigger house or downsize. So I handle the listing, and then, some of the people who want to go on and buy, I refer them out to other agents on the team.
Nice. Yeah. So in those 30 hours, what's a week in the life of Karen Coe look like in those 30 hours?
So I get up with my youngest. He's a junior. He leaves the house about 7 o'clock. You know, I get up, I have my coffee. I really don't start truly working till probably 10. You know, I have probably 4 to 5 appointments a day. They can vary anywhere from listing appointments to, you know, meeting for, you know, contractors and all that. And, you know, I, you know, wrap up at like 5 or 6 o'clock, you know, I make dinner and kind of rinse and repeat every day after that.
Nice,
So
nice.
I have a lot of free time, you know, on the weekends. That's super important to me. My youngest is a very good golfer. So I travel to all the golfing events. I don't ever miss that. That's like my number one priority, even more than my work.
Yeah, awesome. That's wonderful.
Yes.
That's the right way to go.
Yes.
We're fortunate to make
I'm
that
very,
way.
I say that all the time. I'm
Yeah.
so fortunate.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel very lucky.
So you mentioned 4 or 5 appointments a day. That's the dream world for a lot of people. How do you keep that volume of appointments coming in and scheduled and getting all that done?
Well, I think too, like it's, you know, it becomes very just, you know, structure wise, as in, you know, we do a lot of marketing and I get a lot of calls for listings, and then, you know, those people want to sell. And I think just keeping the pipeline along, just like any, you know, any sales position, just keeping a lot in your pipeline.
Anybody watching here just heard a lot of listings calls coming in. You say that like it's easy, like it just happens. That people just jumped out of seats. I want that to happen. Let that happen to me.
Yeah.
So what are the activities that are creating those calls coming in?
So we do a lot in the community. We sponsor so many things. We do a lot of charity events. We do a lot in social media, a lot on Facebook, Instagram. We do neighborhood newsletters. We're just really out and about.
Okay.
Quite a few of my agents pick up a majority of their buyers from the open houses. I'd say probably for every listing that we have, at least one of my buyer's agents picks up a buyer from that.
Nice.
And some of those buyers turn into listings and then buyers. So we just have a lot of activity going around. You know, we just, like I said, very entrenched in the community. We're very hyper-focused in a particular area.
Right.
And I think, you know, that makes it, you know, good. And I had a gentleman who called me last week for a listing, and I asked him, I was like, it's a neighborhood I've never been in. I said, why did you call me? And he goes, I went through all the listings I had sold, and I saw who the buyer's agent was and who the listings was. And he's like, you were, you know, pretty much involved in at least one or the other of the majority of activity in the community. So.
Nice. How many communities? I have 2 questions here. For how many communities do you currently farm? Yeah.
We farm 5.
5 communities.
Yes.
And the total amount of houses?
4,000.
4,000.
Yeah, and I do that quarterly.
Quarterly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so quarterly newsletter getting to.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been doing that? Those 5? Or
all my 10 years.
All 10 years.
Yeah, and it took a long time in the beginning to generate my first business, and it's very expensive, and I wanted to give up, but now it's part of the whole thing. It's like you have to do a bunch of different avenues, and they kind of all come together and make a perfect storm.
Do you remember when you started to see that turn?
I'd say probably 18 months.
18
So
months.
I did it quarterly. I'd say maybe after my 7th newsletter, I got my first listing, you know, call for a listing. And that was, you know, the start of it. And then almost every listing, every time I put out a newsletter, I get at least 2 to 3 listing calls.
You hear that?
But in the beginning, I might get 2 a year.
Yeah. And it's a numbers game.
Absolutely.
It's math. That's
just
all
like
it is,
every
right?
sales job is. It's like if you make so many calls or do so many, you know, presentations, you're going to eventually get the business.
That's right. So the calls are coming in because of your newsletters, and you saw the turn after about 18 months.
That's correct. Yeah.
When you're doing events, are you present in those events?
All of them.
All of them.
Yes.
So if you're putting money in, you're there.
I'm there. Yes. Yes. We sponsor golf tournaments. We're doing one in 3 weeks. It's at Prestonwood Country Club, and we sponsor a hole. We pass out popcorn for that hole, and yeah, we're very involved. We do a lot of events. We're a very event driven team.
And are you arranging these, or you have your staff, your people doing it? Both.
Both. Yeah, both. And most of them are things we've done every year now. We sponsor Pink Day at Prestonwood Country Club, and we run a mimosa bar for the day the girls are playing tennis. So that's probably one of our most fun events of the year. Yeah, we do lots of client events and all that. So yeah.
Going back to the farming piece,
Yeah.
how did you identify those neighborhoods?
Well, the main neighborhood that I farm, I live in.
Yes.
And then a couple neighborhoods right around there.
So everything was adjacent?
Yes, almost everything is in the same zip code.
Okay.
So yes.
Do you see a cross-pollination from
Absolutely.
people buying into one and moving out into the others?
Yes. So
that's very important.
Yes, and we've been talking about, where should our next place be farm, and I'm pretty particular and picky about it. And of course, even now, it's hard to spend money on a new neighborhood because it takes so long to get it going.
Right.
But then once it does get going, it can be very productive.
Looking at going into a new neighborhood, how do you parlay that off? Are you doing just solds, or is it just the newsletter that
just the newsletter?
And you put in there what you're doing in the area?
So my newsletter on the first page is like a little write-up of kind of what's happening in the community, interest rates, all that stuff. And then in the inside, we list all the listings of the houses we currently have listed or have sold. There's probably 4 or 5. And then on the separate page, we put every house that has sold in the neighborhood, whether I was the listing agent, buyer's agent, whether I had anything to do with it. So people like to see what their neighbor's house sold for, and then obviously it's a brochure thing, and it's how we've done it. I've done it for all the 10 years. And
so your people seeing you every quarter on paper, and then probably physically at an event somewhere throughout the year.
That's right. Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Now, you wouldn't have gotten this far without having standards. You obviously established your standard right from the very beginning. Once you have a team, how do you make sure that standard continues with listings and working with buyers?
I think my team, they watch me and they emulate what I do. Everybody has their own way of doing things, even the buyer's agent. But I think we want to be the neighborhood expert. So that's why we don't do every neighborhood, and we're not selling houses everywhere. We're very hyper focused, because I think one of the reasons we get so many clients is because they rely on our experience, and we bring a lot to the table for that. So every Monday morning we educate of like what went on the market, what sold, even if it wasn't our listing. Just being knowledgeable about everything that's happening in the community, I think, is our biggest asset.
Yeah. Now, this is probably gonna not surprise a lot of people, but what is your closing ratio when you do go on a listing agreement?
I'd probably say 90%.
90%. What do you attribute that to?
I just being very knowledgeable. I don't even have a very fancy presentation, and I bring all the houses I've sold in their zip code over the I've been keeping track of it since 2016. So and I'm a very straight shooter. And I don't tell them just what they want to hear. Are there listings I go on and don't get them? Yes, because they don't want to hear what I have to say. So I think just being very direct.
So you walk away as well. If they're not going to do what you want, you just walk away.
Yes, exactly.
That's great.
Yeah, I think, and I've had a lot of those people who didn't use me and they weren't able to sell it come back to me after the fact, and then they're definitely more willing to do the things that I say. I specialize in luxury, and luxury buyers don't want to come into needing carpeting or hardwoods or broken things or anything like that. So I am very strict about what I require from my listings.
Good. And what about when you're hiring? You have a marketing person, you have an admin, or bigger than an admin, operations person, whatever their title is, and then you have agents. How did you go through that process? So
a couple of them I already knew, and they're friends of mine, and they also live in the community that we farm. We have a super good, strong team. That's probably one of the reasons we're so successful, is because we're such a tight knit group of people. And I think just being a good group of people, and other agents want to join our team. And hire very many. I'm very particular about the agents we add because I want to keep the ones that I have fed and very happy and successful. So, it just kind of comes naturally. It's not like I'm like have 10 things I'm seeking out. It's
Right.
more of a feel. I interview somebody, and if I feel like they're going to be a good fit,
Okay.
they come to the team. So, and we haven't had a lot of additions or subtractions from the team.
Nice.
So
good. And teams are the thing, right? And the way I'm hearing your story is that you didn't set out to build a team.
No.
You just needed a team.
Yes. And I was happily chugging along at my 35 million as a single agent. So I didn't even know. I mean, I was so busy, I couldn't even imagine taking it to the next level. I didn't even know that I needed to go to the next level. And it once I hired Leah, and then it just, things started falling in place. And then, that a buyer's agent, now you have 4 buyer's agents. And I think, it just kind of builds on it. Just like when you get your first listing in a neighborhood, and all of a sudden next time you go, you get 2 listings in a neighborhood. Everything just builds on it. And I think that's how the team was founded as well. Just started out kind of small and then just keeps on building. So
yeah. I would say, I think the biggest, there's so many lessons in here. I would think the biggest one, if you could take away, is I talk to so many agents, they want to build a team and they start way too soon in the process. They don't push the envelope on their own capabilities. They don't hit their own entrepreneurial ceiling before they start to build a team. They start way too soon.
Right.
They waste money, they waste time, and they end up in this treadmill of trying to get ahead.
Right.
And they just lose the people that they bring in.
Right. Well, I think you as the team leader have to bring a value for them, right? And I think my number one thing not only is to take good care of our clients, obviously that's the fundamental thing, but I want to make sure that the buyer's agents that work on my team, that I'm able to feed them pretty regularly. Like I want to be able to give them clients or have enough listings where they go to they have open houses that they can get their own clients. And I think we have a good balance on that. I mean, I'm sure I could have 10 or 15 buyer's agents, but then I wouldn't be able to feed everybody. And it's my number one thing is to make sure that the women that work on my team that they have business and they're fed.
Now you say women only?
No,
that's fine. Is that the thing?
I mean, I have only women, but I would be open to men too.
Well, you can do that.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Yes.
What's next? You mentioned the other farm, but what's next in the structure of your business?
I think we're going to all be navigating some crazy waters here I think just keeping everybody on my team happy. I think that is my number one goal right now. That's my goal for the next year. And I think if we can keep building on what we have, everybody could be happy.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Great. Karen, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This was
absolutely.
Super informative.
Great.
I'm sure that there's going to be some questions tapping down here. If you want a plan on how Karen has structured her team, DM me and I'll make sure you get it. All right. Thanks for watching The Real Joe Show.
Thanks.
And thanks for coming on. It was fantastic. And I had no idea where that was going to